Hello, I am so sorry team. How frustrating. I am 100% going to blame my husband on that little technical glitch. I cancelled his call and I think I also muted myself. I have now put it on Do Not Disturb. Hello and welcome back, and I seriously apologise for that. If you have just joined us, hello, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. I did just share again about my why, who I am. I'm going to be super duper brief this time and speak really quickly. So apologies to anybody who's watching from overseas and thinking, why is this woman talking so quickly? My name is Edwina. I'm a registered midwife and an emergency clinical nurse consultant. And I really want to welcome you all in, and I am sorry for that small technical glitch. We are going to be talking about what to do if your baby or toddler chokes, and it is absolutely critical that this is information that everybody knows. We have a special little code to share with our little ones community, which is Little50, and it's going to be for the first 100 parents that want to join our online baby and child first aid course, which is not like any other online baby and child first aid course. It's more what to do in an emergency, but also what to do if your baby or toddler is sick. For everybody who has registered, I love it. Somebody's saying, don't apologize, I was late. Well, that works well for everybody. You will all get a free downloadable if you have registered for our live here. If you haven't and you've just stumbled across this, that is absolutely fine. Send me a DM and I will make sure I send you the link to our free downloadable. I did just share as well a quick email that I got recently from a mum who had done one of these lives and actually saved her baby's life. And I think it's super important. If you bear with me, I'm going to quickly read that email again, because this is what will remind you of how important it is, and knowing that other people have used the skills that you're going to learn just in this 20 minutes are going to potentially save a child's life. Now, this is beyond important, and I'm not trying to say it to be dramatic. I can tell you to learn these skills, but the way for you to remember is to hear from other people. And it's from somebody called Jody, and Jody says, "Hi Edwina, I wanted to send my deepest thanks for your online first aid course. A few weeks ago, my 10-month-old choked on a teething rusket when she managed to bite a chunk off. Her airway was completely occluded. She was silent and desperate. It was hands down the worst experience of my life, but thanks to you, I knew what to do. I picked her up and put her over my arm and started delivering aggressive back blows, which I'm about to teach you all exactly how to do this effectively, in a controlled manner, pausing between each. A lot of drool was coming out and she was limp. I was calling for my partner to call 000 and had started going through the CPR steps in my head, getting ready. By the 5th back blow, which felt like forever by the way, the rusket fell onto the floor and my daughter let out the biggest wail. It was the best sound of my life. I saved her life because I knew what to do. I cannot thank you enough for making your course available online. I have watched and rewatched the CPR and choking episodes many times. Even now I am crying. I have also watched your free choking episodes on social media. They are excellent reminders, refreshers. Honestly, please never stop what you do. Thank you 1 million times infinity. I hope you have an amazing day." Which is just beautiful and amazing. And I'm sure, sorry if you've heard that for the second time, but again, I think it is super important. So for everybody who is watching, remember we have a special code for our little ones community. It is Little50. It will be live for the first 100 families that join our online baby and child first aid course. I am also going to make some time, and this is why we had to limit the number of registrations for this live, is because I want to be able to answer your questions after I do this demo. So please know there will be time for Q&A. I won't be reading Q&A as I'm showing you the demonstration because I want to concentrate on teaching you. Please run and grab a pillow, grab something, grab a doll, grab something that you're able to practice along with me, because that is how you will remember. It's like, if you see me do it, then I'm going to have you do it, then we're going to do it together. You are much more likely, if the time comes that you need to use this, that you'll be able to do it effectively. All right, everybody, so we're going to start. Now, I sort of saw at the beginning of the first video, we had a big variety in ages. So a big variety of parents tuning in who have an age gap, and it really went from about 2.5 weeks to about 5 years old. When we teach our online baby and child first aid course, we cover 0 to 8. For this example, if everybody's happy, I'm going to say, we're going to use baby Jimmy here, and we're going to say Jimmy's about 5.5 months old, and we're just starting to introduce solids, because again, this is a really common time that we see children choking, but we also see them gagging. And again, in our downloadable, we cover the difference for you between gagging and choking, and it's super important that you do know that. So little Jimmy is here and we're introducing some food. And again, how you do that is up to you, but whether it's baby-led weaning or you're doing some purees, or even if it's an older child and the baby might, be finding some Lego pieces around the house, or if you have older children, and I've got older children and I know it's really hard to keep everything off the floor, little things, and I've nursed families who have had babies choke on deflated balloons, different types of food. So it's about educating yourself around how to decrease the chances of your baby actually choking in the first place. The ways that you can do that are around food preparation, so how you prepare your food. It is best that food is not cut into circular pieces that can occlude the airway. It is best that they are in long sticks that the baby is able to grip, and the better that the child's able to grip, the less chance you are going to have of the baby choking on it. So supervision, the preparation of food, and again, we share an extensive guide in our online course about how to prepare food. And again, just having an awareness around the house of little things that can be choking hazards. And again, we highlight what the top 5 to 10 choking hazards are in our online course. But when you're introducing solids, supervision is absolutely key, and making sure that your baby is ready to start solids. So it's important that you do that work and you understand that work. However, when you introduce solids, often your baby will gag. Who has had a baby that is a gagger? And when I say a gagger, you're going to know what I mean, in that they put food in their mouth and then they make that awful sort of sound, or they might go really red in the face, and they're and trying to cough it up. Now, gagging, as frightening as it might be to you as a parent, is actually normally developmentally appropriate. Your baby is learning whether to chew or to masticate or where to put the food in their mouth. And it's super important that if your baby is gagging, and again, if they're gagging or coughing or trying to bring it up themselves, what we want to be doing, even if it's really frightening for you as a parent, is paste a big smile on our face, have a look at them and say, "Oh, you clever boy, chew, chew, chew," chewing your food with a big smile, even if you're feeling scared, even if you're feeling afraid. Because if every time they're gagging or coughing or trying to bring up the food themselves, and you look panicked and you're picking them up and you're saying, "Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, are you okay?" they're going to feel fearful. They pick up on what the parents demonstrate to them. So encouraging them to cough and chew. What I don't want you to be doing is picking them up and tapping them on the back like this very quickly, because if they're able to bring something up themselves, they'll bring it up. And if you've then picked them up and tapped them, and the first thing they're going to do is take a deep breath, whatever's been in their mouth is possibly then going to actually properly occlude their airway. And you're in a worse position than when you started. So encourage them to keep coughing and chewing. If they've got an effective cough or they're gagging and they're trying to bring it up themselves, that's what we call an effective cough. It's a mild obstruction to their airway. They're going to try and bring it up themselves, and we want to teach them and encourage them how to do that. Sometimes I teach my parents even sit on your own hands to encourage them to do it without intervening. But what I want to teach you here today is about if they have an ineffective cough. So they've got a moderate to severe airway obstruction. Between their nose and mouth, a tube joins down to their lungs. That air that passes into their lungs oxygenates your baby's blood, so it brings oxygen to the blood, and that oxygen feeds your baby's brain. If that air is not passing from the nose and the mouth down that tube into the lungs, what happens is oxygen doesn't get to your baby, toddler, or child's brain. Now, everything that I teach in my baby and child first aid course is about making sure we don't get to the situation where oxygen not getting to your child's brain happens, because that is irreversible. That is a lifetime injury where your child will experience brain damage, and it is absolutely critical that you know what to do to ensure that oxygen is getting to your baby's brain. And I don't say this to scare you, I say this to say it is absolutely critical that you have these skills, and I hope for your sake you never need to use them. So supervision is absolutely key. Arming yourself with how to introduce solids when, and making sure that the food is safe and going to decrease the chances, and again that's what we will teach you in the online course, but decrease the chances of choking. But supervision is the number one thing. What we see most commonly, and this is an Australian statistic, is children between the ages of 0 and 4 having an ambulance called. The ambulance or the paramedics come to the home, and usually the parents have been able to clear their airway. So they're the skills that I want you to have today. So it's an ineffective cough. Your child is still conscious. I want you to go and I want you to assess them. Very quickly you may start to see color change. So we're going to be assessing the child and having a look at them and saying, it's okay, still providing reassurance because your child is conscious. And you're going to say, oh, it looks like you've got something stuck. You know, it's okay, mummy's here. Now, they will look very fearful, like how Jody shared her story. Her child looked very distressed. It's unlikely that it's likely that they won't be making any sound. People think that choking is going to be loud and you're going to know about it. If it's a complete occlusion of the airway, there will be no sound. It will be silent. They may have a bit of a wheeze or a small amount of sound. But if that is affecting the color change in their face, they look distressed, they are unable to clear what is in their mouth, you need to get to action stations very quickly. So very quickly, I'd be having a look at them. If you can clearly see in their airway something that you could easily pick out, but do not spend too much time digging and feeling around. Do not do that, because A, you're wasting time getting oxygen to the baby's brain, and B, you may push it or occlude it further down into the airway. But if it's a piece of spaghetti or something's hanging out really obviously that you can pull out, by all means do. Then what I want you to do, and this is the most critical part that you're watching, is I want you to pick the baby up out of the high chair. I often stand up because, again, I'm using gravity. I'm just going to put my little stand back so that you can be seeing this more clearly. I'm using gravity, and what I'm going to do is be supporting the line of the baby and their head and neck, and I'm putting them over their arm. So for this age, that's a really effective way. For an older child that you're not able to pick up like this, you could be putting them over your knee, okay? So putting them over your knee, and depending on the size. Watch what I'm doing now. I encourage you to give 5 back blows, then grab your phone, call a paramedic or emergency services, depending what country you're tuning in from now and watching for. In Australia, we're going to be doing 000. Please drop in the comments now, wherever you're watching from, what is the emergency services number for where you're watching from. It is absolutely critical that you know this. Oh, I love it. Someone's saying, watching here with my 4.5-year-old boy so he can know what to do as well. It is also absolutely critical that we teach older children what to do, particularly if parents become unconscious. They need to know how to call emergency services. So teach your children how to use your mobile to call an emergency number. So I am going to pick the child up. So this is little Junior, he's 5.5 months. He's conscious, but not making any sound, looking very distressed, and I'm starting to see a little bit of color change around his nose and lips. I'm supporting his airway, and at the same time, what I'm about to show you is aggressive back blows. It looks like I'm hitting a child. It is absolutely critical that you understand that this is life-saving first aid. Yes, you may bruise their back. Yes, there might be a mark on their back. But again, it is super important that you understand that this is life-saving first aid. I'm limping a little bit, sorry, so that I've got a bad hip. So I'm going to use this part of my hand for this age, and I'm going in between the shoulder blades, and I'm not hitting, it is a thrust. So I'm going to go 1, and seeing if what I'm doing is clearing the airway. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm using gravity by having the child's head down. That's why it's important that you stand up. And I'm using a thrust because what I'm trying to do is use the bit of air that is in their lungs to push whatever is occluding their airway out. Like with Jodie with the example that we used at the beginning, by doing these aggressive back blows, she pushed the rusk that was occluding the airway out. Now I'm going to be turning the baby around. I still cannot see clearly anything occluding the airway. And I have called for emergency services. When you call emergency services, put your phone on speaker. If you're not able to get to your phone, call out for help from your partner, a family member, another child. You must have help coming to you. Because if you start doing this and you get distracted for a few minutes, you need to know that emergency services are on their way to your home. If you're watching another parent doing this in public, call emergency services, call that number to know that a paramedic is on their way to you. Now for this age group, again, I'm going to use 2 fingers in between the nipple line, like how I teach CPR. For an older child, again, I would probably be using this part of my hand. So for this age, I'm going to use 2 fingers and it's in between the nipple line. And again, unlike CPR where I'm doing a compression, it's more of a thrust. So using gravity, supporting the baby, and I'm going to go 2 fingers into the middle of the nipple line, and again, it's with force. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have not cleared the airway. So now I turn the baby over again and I go back to another 5 back thrusts. I want you all to grab that doll, grab that pillow, jump up, stand up, do this with me now. And I want you to make sure you show your partners. Absolutely important that anybody that cares for your child practices this, because if you've practiced it, you will remember how to do it when or if you ever need to do it in real life. So again, got our doll, head down, even if you're doing it on a pillow. 1, 2, 3, I'm not clearing the airway. 4, 5, and it is with firmness and hard back blows. Everybody, turn your baby over. 2 fingers in between the chest, in between the nipples, on the chest. And again, supporting the head, gravity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Absolutely critical here that you have called emergency services. I saw a big variety of numbers coming up. Now, do you know what you do, why you would stop doing that? The reasons that you would stop is that the baby or child clears their airway, and then again, depending, you're either going to provide them with reassurance. If it's a baby, they're going to need a lot of reassurance and a cuddle, but you need to continue to check their color. If it's an older child, roll them onto their side and continue to reassure them. Now, in the situation that you are unable to clear the airway, your baby will become floppy. They will start to have very significant color change and be unconscious. It is then time to commence CPR. And this is why it's absolutely critical that you all then learn the skills for CPR, which is about another 45 minutes. I think that's a 45-minute module in our online course, because we have to ensure that oxygen is getting to your baby's brain. Now, I'm concerned that I've probably now just completely freaked you all out. That's not my intention. That's not my goal. I want you to understand the importance of doing this and ensuring that you know how to do it confidently. I'm going to open it up to the floor now. I realize I've gone a little bit over time. I said this would be 20 minutes. It's now been half an hour. But I just absolutely am passionate about parents having these skills. Who has any questions? Please pop any of your questions in here now. Please let me know if you practiced along. If you're stumbling across this and it's not something that you had registered for, please let me know. Send me a DM and I'll send you the link for the free downloadable. I wanted to remind you all Little 50 is the code for you to use if you want to get access to our online baby and child first aid course. That's where we cover how to do CPR effectively. Thank you, thank you. That's my absolute pleasure. Everybody sharing a lot of love. I really appreciate that, but I'm actually thanking you, because I thank you for being proactive parents. I'm thanking you for taking the time to learn these skills. It is absolutely critical. I don't want to be the nurse in triage that's having parents come in and saying, we just didn't know what to do. That's not okay. You need to learn these skills. Some of the questions: a good hold for ages 2 to 4. So Rose, I think still probably, and depending on the size, I don't say age, you'd probably still be able to comfortably put a 2-year-old over like that, or we go over our leg. So can you see how I'm holding the baby now over my leg? So sitting like so, and putting the toddler over your leg like that. That's the best way, really up to about the age of 6. When delivering blows to the front, should babies be somewhat angled upwards? No, Leah, what we want for the baby, again, see how I'm supporting Bub's neck, and I'm supporting that with the crook of my arm. We want to use a bit of gravity if possible. If it's a 4-year-old, you're not going to be able to be holding them in that position, so you'd be laying them flat and you'd be doing a compression more like. And again, we cover that in more detail for older children in the online course. So not angled upwards, because again, it's easier for gravity to be able to help clear what is in their airway. I hope that's helpful. Sorry if it is a silly one, never silly, but position them on lap or table is, sorry, I missed that what that was. Carpe diem, let me know. Thanks, Edwina. It's certainly a scary thought, but so incredibly important. Thank you, my absolute pleasure. Thank you. I work in law enforcement, and this is something I can use when going to jobs. Absolutely. I think anyone who goes into the homes that looks after children should absolutely have these skills. Thank you so much for your time. How should we hold a toddler, e.g. 2-year-old? Again, it's not so much the age, it's the size. So it's going to be over your leg is what you're going to find more helpful. I didn't register but would love a copy of the poster. Send me a DM if you want a copy of the poster, everybody. At what point do we change over to CPR? Again, really important question, because we're always trying to make sure that oxygen's getting to the baby's brain. It is when the child becomes unconscious. So again, unconscious, conscious, and we show this in our downloadable. If the child becomes unconscious, and you'll know they become flat, they can become floppy and limp and unresponsive, it is critical that you start doing effective CPR ASAP, as soon as possible. So absolutely critical that you know that. Thank you, everybody. I think you have been an amazing group and an amazingly engaged group. Please know that Little 50 is the code for our online baby and child first aid course. It is only valid for the first 100 members that join. I can't wait to welcome you into our community. When you join, you get 12 months to our online course, and you also get a weekly Q&A with me. So it is absolutely important that you get these skills. As your child gets older, you're able to check in with me, and we do lives weekly to make sure that all of your questions are answered. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys rock. Please reach out, send me a DM if you have any questions at all. And what I would love you to do is share this with your mother's groups, with friends, family. Just ensure that this is shared far and wide. We do not want babies or toddlers not getting effective choking intervention, and particularly CPR intervention. Thank you so much. I knew it was aggressive blows, but didn't think it was that aggressive. Yep, absolutely. All right, team, thank you so much. I've so enjoyed this, and welcome to the Birth Beat community. Bye.